everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Bass Talk with Freekbass. This is your host. Guess his name? Freekbass. Hey, I'm here every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time live. So if you're watching live, hello. Thanks for tuning in. And if you're watching on a rebroadcast at a different time, hello to you as well. We are at the Facebook page, facebookmusic.com, /Freekbass Music, over at YouTube, youtube.com, /the Freekbass channel. Please subscribe if you haven't done that already over at the YouTube channel. That'd be awesome. And hit a thumbs up if you're liking the video. And then, of course, we are over at Twitch as well. And I'm actually doing a live stream, Live Grooves with Freekbass. And that's at Twitch every Saturday night at 10 p.m. That is live. So please join me over there. And we're also going to be doing another night of the week. I think we're doing Thursday this week. It's at 9 p.m. But just keep an eye out on that. Please just go over to Twitch and follow me at Twitch, and it'll always let you know when I'm going live over there. It's just had my debut show over there last week and really, really enjoyed the whole vibe over there. And, hopefully you'll dig it too. But you're here now, and you're here, and we're here at Bass Talk with Freekbass. And we are here every week, and we talk everything bass, whether it be a lesson, we talk some theory stuff, we talk about different basses. This bass is a cool one to talk about, right? A Rickenbacker 4003. I love this thing. And then some unboxings, everything bass related, or even some things that are like indirectly related. We did an unboxing of the MPC 1, which is right here next to me, about a month or so ago. So it's all kinds of great stuff. So thanks again for being here, and let's kind of get into it. So this week, the last few, I want to kind of expand. I was thinking, of doing a whole different thing for this week's show. I was like, okay, we've talked about, some hammer-on stuff and some thumping stuff over the last couple weeks. So maybe it's time to kind of move in a different direction. But I wanted to stay with this for one more week because, big thing I talk about is how important, not only playing bass lines and playing them well, but also writing bass lines and taking these techniques and creating bass lines with some of these techniques you do. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be a bunch of notes. There's even I did a video, 3 or 4 months ago, making a great bass line with, I think it was 2 or 3 notes. I can't remember. I think it was 3 notes, but you could do it 2 as well. So, but this is kind of on that same kind of thing. So you could be a total beginner on this and hopefully pick this up and play along with it, which I would love for you to do. Or you could be someone that's been playing for a long time because, these simple bass lines, they're easy to show someone, especially if you're just starting out, which is great. But a lot of times, there's so much involved, like a 2 or 3 or 4 note bass line can be the most difficult because you're not just playing the bass line, you're playing the space between the notes in the bass line. You're playing the space. I always remember this quote that Questlove made about, I believe it was the drummer for Heatwave he was talking about, and he was saying that the drummer, he was really heavy on those 4 on the floors, which was when you're playing kick and snare all do, goo, 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 at the same time. And Quest was saying that how he played the space hard, which I love that. That means like even the space, it's not just the notes, it's just notes, but it's the space in between the notes. And this is kind of like that. This bass line does. And so let me play it again for you. You heard me playing it at the beginning when you first tuned in, and then I'll break it down for you, and then maybe you can kind of take it and some of these techniques we've been working on the last few weeks, make it your own. You can take what I did, expand off of it, whatever you want to do. But let me just show you here again. 1, 2. Let's check it out. So you'll notice that, we did some hammer-on stuff, but I'm actually starting right out of the gate on the hammer. Let me play the bass line just by itself with no drums. It goes like this. I wanted to show, when I was talking about with the space, look how much space, sorry. So you go da, da. That's a lot of space between those notes. I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit, just a little bit. And you could almost like pull that third note even back a little farther, which would be kind of even funkier, but. And then you got that space before the line starts again. All right, so let's break the space down a little bit again and be very conscious and really feel that space a lot in this bass line. So we're going to start off with what we've been talking about the last few weeks on BASSTalk with Freekbass, a hammer-on. And what I'm doing, and just like the bass line that we did last week was kind of similar, I'm plucking the 5th fret on the D string, which is a G, and then I'm coming back to the E on the 7th fret on my A string, but I'm not using my right hand to do it. I'm just the strength of my hand coming down to that note. And I mentioned this on last week's as well. I almost kind of like take these 3 fingers. I'm actually connecting with my pinky, but I kind of almost take these 3 fingers and almost use them as a, you can see. And that even might be a good starting point, you know, for especially if you're just kind of starting out, bass player. Just try to see if you can just, with, you know, not even using your hand, just see if you can kind of play a note, a nice strong note, by just hammering on the fretboard. And that'd be a good starting point. So I'm plucking again, and then coming down on that note. Now, after I do that, I'm doing an upstroke on my thumb on the 5th fret on the A string, which is a D. So it's like I'm almost kind of like going through the note, but you can do it without going through the note, the string, I mean, not the note. It's kind of like, it's like da, da, but it's just, you could even, you don't have to necessarily go through and then come back up. You can just, either way, or you could even do it as a thumb down, but I think it feels better and sounds, but has more of a groove if I'm on that upstroke, which I'm literally coming up with my thumb through that string, right about the center of my thumbnail. And then I go do the same thing, but on the E, on the 7th fret. So it's 5, 7, and then just 2 open E's. Now, we talk about this some, but on those E's, be also aware of how long you want those E's to ring. I'm not going. It's more of a bump, bump. Again, thinking like a horn. I'm always thinking of two. I'm thinking it's either drums or horns. You know, that's kind of the way my mind works with these bass lines. Just like the horn section, be bump, bump. And then it's another little horn line. Instead of going the 2 E's, we're doing the 7, 9, D, E. And I'm plucking both of those. And as I mentioned before, when I'm plucking, I'm trying to pull back so you see my hand real well. I'm plucking, I mean, I'm pulling hard. So it has like that attack, that dun dun, like again a horn line, bum bum, like that. The second time I was going up and going F sharp to G to give it a little bit of a vibe. And by the way, on a side note, as I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, I'm sitting here thumping and plucking, slapping, slap bass, whatever you want to call it, on a Rickenbacker. There's Rickenbacker for some reason. A lot of people are like, oh, those are not good basses to thump and pluck on. I do disagree. I love this thing. I mean, they sound great with a pick too, because that's kind of what they're known for. Finger style is great too, but they're nice basses. You know, they can get a real nice. It's a very crisp and tight. You know, it feels like the strings are real taut. It's got a real tight tone. So, you know, I wouldn't want to use it on everything for thumping and plucking, but it's definitely, if you're going for a certain sound, they are nice basses, by the way, for that type of sound. And I want to also bring up real quick is like between that 5 and 7 on the A, I'm thinking dun dun dun. I'm like, one of my teachers taught me, one of my bass teachers taught me once is like, the more you can in your brain subdivide between every beat. So like, you know, dun, dun. I'm not just thinking like my head's not just thinking, or my brain's not thinking dun, dun. It's thinking duck, dun, duck, dun. So I'm hearing bump, you know. So like part of my thumb might accentuate that sometimes. You know, or I could do it without it. You know, put just maybe one of them in there. Or that's what I'm talking about. There's so much space in between there, and you can manipulate it and add different feels to it in such a cool way. It's pretty fun stuff. So that's the bass line. I think if you do something really simple, again, it's a matter of we're starting with a pluck to a hammer, 2 upstrokes, thump, thump, pluck, pluck. All right? Good way. Let's play it one more time before we get out of here. Here we go. And there you go. That's this week's Bass Talk with Freekbass. So I'll see you Saturday night, Chit Chat 9 p.m. at the Facebook page. Right after 10 p.m. Eastern Time, pop over to Twitch for live grooves with Freekbass with a lot more of this kind of craziness. And we'll have a big party there too as well. Thanks for tuning in tonight, everybody. Love you very much and hope to see you all either in person or back here anywhere in this virtual world we're